In a quiet village nestled between mustard fields and dusty hills, there lived a boy named Arjun. The villagers said time flowed slower there. Days melted into routines: sunrise, labor, meals, sleep, repeat. For most people, life wasn't lived, it simply happened. Children spent their hours chasing kites, splashing in river streams, or lingering in tea stalls listening to pointless gossip. Nobody questioned where the time went. Nobody asked what it was costing them. Nobody, except Arjun. He wasn't born disciplined. He wasn't born extraordinary. In fact, for most of his childhood, he was just like the others, wasting hours as if his life was infinite. But everything changed one afternoon. The day he discovered what time really was. Arjun's father, Mahendra, was a quiet, hard-working farmer. His hands were cracked like old leather, skin darkened by decades of sun. Yet he never complained. One day, after a long morning in the field, Mahendra sat silently outside their mud house, his body trembling slightly. "Are you okay, Baba?" Arjun asked. The old man nodded, but something about his silence felt different. It wasn't exhaustion, it was resignation. A quiet acceptance that life had been spent, and there was no time left to change it. Later that night, Arjun overheard his parents talking. His mother whispered, "He's getting weaker. He won't be able to farm like before." His father replied softly, "I wish I had learned something else when I was younger. Maybe I wouldn't be stuck like this now." Those words struck Arjun harder than a slap. Not because his father was weak, but because he realized time had trapped him. A man who had given his whole life to survival now wished he had spent some of it becoming more. And in that moment, Arjun understood something most grown men never realize. Time is not something you pass. It is something you trade. And everyone pays, willingly or not. The decision that separated him from others. The next morning, while the other boys slept or played, Arjun woke up before sunrise. He didn't know exactly what he would do, but he knew what he wouldn't do. He would not waste another morning. He borrowed an old slate from the village school and began practicing writing. His letters were clumsy, uneven, embarrassing. But every day he improved, slowly, painfully, but undeniably. He began timing everything. If it took 10 minutes to wash the cattle, he made it 9. If his friends lounged around for an hour after lunch, he spent it reading from a torn newspaper. They laughed. They mocked him. They called him Brahmachari, wise boy, saint, show off. But Arjun didn't care, because he had already seen what carelessness with time did to a man. He had seen it in his father's eyes. Distraction, the villain no one recognized. One afternoon, while others were playing cards under a banyan tree, they shouted for Arjun to join. He paused. He liked them. He liked laughter. But he had a question burning inside him. What does this moment cost me? If he spent an hour laughing today, would he be 1 hour prouder tomorrow? No, so he walked away. That day, Arjun learned something profound. The enemy of progress is not failure. It is distraction disguised as enjoyment. The man who sold his time. As years passed, Arjun became one of the few literate boys in the village. He could calculate market prices, read government forms, and write clean reports. Word spread. Soon, a trader from the nearby town offered him a job as an account assistant. Instead of toiling in fields from dawn to dusk, Arjun now worked with ledgers and receipts, and earned more in a week than farmers made in a month. But he didn't stop there. Every night, he studied by lantern light, learning bookkeeping and trade laws. Within a year, he wasn't just assisting the trader, he was running the accounts. Within 3 more years, he started his own grain distribution business. The village watched in disbelief. He wasn't born richer. He wasn't born smarter. He was simply not careless with his time. The moment he repaid his father. One evening, Arjun returned home in a small horse cart, his own. His father, old and weary, sat outside like always. But this time, Arjun knelt beside him and said, "Baba, you don't have to work anymore. The years you spent, I could not return them. But I can make sure the rest of your time is spent in peace." His father didn't speak. His hands trembled, not from exhaustion this time, but from pride. Tears welled in his eyes. Not because his son became successful, but because his son did what he could not. He mastered his time before it mastered him. The lesson he taught the village. When the villagers gathered around, asking how he did it, Arjun didn't give a long speech. He didn't talk about talent, intelligence, or luck. He simply said, "I stopped wasting my hours. That is all." They laughed at the simplicity. But he leaned forward and added, "Every man here manages land, cattle, money. Yet not one of you manages your hours. You treat your time like it's worthless, then wonder why life gives you nothing valuable in return." Silence fell. Some felt anger. Some felt shame. But a few felt awakened. Time is not just passing, it is making you or breaking you. Years later, when people spoke of Arjun, they didn't say he was lucky, or talented, or blessed. They said, he respected time, and so time respected him. Because that is the truth most people never understand. Time is not slow or fast. It is merely obedient. It goes where you direct it. And it grows whatever you plant in it. If you plant distraction, it grows into regret. If you plant discipline, it grows into destiny. And the final thought he left behind. Arjun once wrote a line on his old slate, and it stayed there forever. If you do not control how you spend your hours, someone else will. Some read it, some ignored it, some obeyed it, and changed. That is the power of using time wisely. Not magic, not luck, not miracles,